Hey everybody, and welcome to this episode of Spinning Plays. First up is Party Forgets How to Use Their Eyes. Well, that's quite unfortunate. By Rich Gur 3304. I'm assuming that's the year they're from. They must be a time traveler. I would appreciate this week's lottery numbers if you wouldn't mind, thank you. Three Top walks in at the tail end of the rush, when nearly all of my tables are full and there is not much seating left at the bar rail. No host on this particular day. So I greet them at the door. Hello. They walk in and immediately comment on how full it is. Literally, wow, it's really full in here. I nod. They ask for a table for three. I have one singular table that is not already seated and fits three. And it has a reserved sign physically placed on the table. Reservation is due in 15 minutes. So there truly is not any wiggle room. I offer them a spot at the bar for a 30-minute wait. Immediately the tone changes. Wow, really? You won't seat us anywhere? Okay, I see we've forgotten how to use our eyes in the 30 seconds since you first walked in, and literally said, "It's so full in here." They point at the reserved table like I somehow haven't noticed it. Why not there? I tell them I have a reservation. A dramatic eye roll follows. They then start asking if I can push a couple of two-tops together for them. This is a very small restaurant, only 11 tables total. There are 3 two-tops in the aisle between the larger tables and the bar, and they pretty clearly max out the available space in the restaurant. The host stand is so close to the door this party keeps having to move out of the way of people walking in behind them. There is not 1 square foot of extra space in this place, I assure you. Pushing the two tops together is just very clearly not an option, both in the sense that it's definitely not safe or compliant with fire code, but also because it would take up all of our walking space between tables. They would be back to back with people sitting at the bar, like literally touching if one person leans back at all. This is a restaurant that doesn't use large food trays because they don't fit down the aisle. Anyway, I explain all of this to them, and they tell me, "Must just have to go somewhere else." Yeah. Then they stare at me for a good long while. I nod. Another dramatic eye roll and, "Wow! Just wow!" as they walk out the door. Somebody more empathetic than me, please explain their thought process. I've dealt with this kind of complaint so many times, and I'm just always so flabbergasted at what they think I should do to solve the problem. You can literally see that there isn't a table available for you. What am I supposed to do about that? Well, I think the answer is quite simple here, as perhaps you've not been trained in this, but it's a well-kept secret in the service industry that all serving staff are secretly carpenters. So what you need to do is you need to make some tables and chairs for them. You then also need to knock down a wall and extend the building outward, so that there'll then be additional space. And once you've done that, you can then tell them to GTFO, because some people just don't know how to brain. And next up is another story. There we go. People Annoy the out of me by Pavlov's Daughter. I'm a bartender in Tennessee at a somewhat popular pizza and Italian restaurant. Yesterday I had a family of 4 come in. I have served them before, but they never left an impression on me until today. They ordered 7 drinks for the whole table, so I immediately knew that they were about to be the worst. I greeted them and asked, "What are we drinking today?" Mom replied, "Well, we usually order wine, but you guys ID here." And I said, "Yes, it's Tennessee state law. It's very strict here." Note, our restaurant is in a mall with the bar separate from the restaurant by about 100 feet under an atrium. Dad speaks up and says, "Well, they don't ID in there," pointing to the restaurant. So I come back with, "Well, then they're not doing their job." He said, "Oh, really? We don't get ID'd at other places." So I explained to him that he's not at those other places, and that some restaurants have policies where if you look over a certain age, you don't have to ID, and told him we have one of those policies as well, but we always defer to state law. I always ID everyone, and quite right too. I don't care if you look 90 years old or an oxygen tank. I ID everyone, even ID the oxygen tank. Those things expire. So, they start hounding me about how old they look. I will never answer that question, and it's rude for someone to ask that of someone else and put them on the spot. Now, I have had people ask me this before, but usually it's in a joking way, and I can riff with them and have a good laugh. But these people were so serious when they started questioning me on the policy, thinking I made it up, and questioning me about the state law. It made me incredibly uncomfortable, so I eventually put a stop to it and asked if they were ready to order. They start ordering, and Mom says, "I think I'll have the white wine flight." So I say, "I need your ID," and she pulls it out with a smirk on her face. "So why the hell did you waste my time and yours with all that nonsense? All you had to do was pull it out for me at the beginning, and we could have saved ourselves 10 minutes. Anyway, their bill was $102, and they tipped me $5. I ripped it up and didn't take their money. Needless to say, I will remember them the next time, and maybe will give them mediocre service. Edit. Wow, people in the original post are really getting offended that I asked these people for their IDs. Hellfreezer's note. It is literally this person's job. As you all know, I used to work in retail. I hated asking people for ID, but I did it because I had to. Even the ones who were like, "You ID me all the time." And all I could think to myself when they said that was, "And yet you don't have your ID." If you're expecting it, whose problem is it then, buddy boy? Anyway, just so I don't have to keep repeating myself, I live in Tennessee, where ABC is very strict out here. All my Tennessee servers and bartenders can attest to this. We have to ID everyone, even if they obviously look older than 21. This is to ensure their ID is valid. It can't be expired or damaged in any way. It has to be a state ID, military ID, or passport. Cops will set up stings and send an underage person or someone with an expired ID in and order a beer. If you serve them, you can get fired, fined, and in extreme cases go to jail. The customers do not care about any of that. This can also put the restaurant in jeopardy. This has happened 3 times in my restaurant. Depending on how serious the case is, you can lose your ABC license and cannot work in the industry for 5 years. There is a lot more that goes into that than just proving your age. This is my livelihood and how I survive and pay my bills. I've been doing this for 15 years. I will never risk any of that because I chose not to ID someone just because they look of age. I had to assume that everyone I serve is on the board of a potential sting. I understand how it can be annoying, but I do it to protect myself. This was not even the point of the post. I was merely ranting because these people made a big scene about being asked for their ID and making me uncomfortable when they ended up having it the whole time, because they're a bunch of tossers. Next up, insubordination from little boys. Hang on, come on, I clicked on the thing, load the page. Insubordination from little boys at work. By Who Want Lasagna. Who Want Lasagna. So for context, I am 25. I work full-time as an EMT, but will occasionally, 2 times a month, pick up shifts at this restaurant I used to work at. Technically don't work there because I'm not in the payroll. They pay me cash under the table. Shh, we're not going to tell anyone about it. Nothing happened. I used to serve and manage there when I did actually work there, so when I come in, I'll serve and then switch to manager 2 hours before close, once peak volume is over. Today was my 2nd shift of the month. We had a buyout, not big at all, 40 people for a 50th birthday, and they spent a little over 10 bands. Buffet-style food and desserts. Mad easy, and it's a tip pool. Party is a hard stop at midnight, as in everyone needs to start getting the hell out at midnight. 2 little boys at work there are lazy AF, both 23 and 21. One of them is the GM's best friend's kid. Literally all night sitting on their phone, sitting down at the bar in front of guests, not bussing tables or putting in drink orders. Literally not doing anything. Clock strikes 11. Bong! And me and a couple of others are starting to clean up. So we aren't there all night, and these two aren't doing anything. GM's best friend's kid, Tom, is nowhere to be found, and the other lazy little boy, Larry, is sitting down at the bar in plain view of the guests. I go to Larry. I love how the OP is 25 and calling them little boys because they're acting like absolute children. Love it. Perfect. I go to Larry. Hey, please don't sit here. He loses it.
You've been nitpicking me all night. I can't take a break.
Darling, your whole shift is a break, it sounds like. I'm trying to keep my cool, because why are you yelling at me? I said, 1, you need a break, that's fine, just let me know. You can do that in the back, not here. 2, I'm not nitpicking you, I'm asking you to do your job. Larry says,
You don't see all the work I'm doing. Just because you don't see me doesn't mean I'm not doing anything.
I'm thinking then, why is it every time I see you, you're sitting down? Now for Tom, who thinks he's invincible because he's the GM's best friend's kid, Dude is standing around talking all night. I said, Tom, every time I see you, you're on your phone. Please bust some tables.
I didn't feel like it.
Okay, that's fine. Click out and go home then, because it's not fair to everyone else that you be in the pool and not be working. Tom decides to work flash forward 15 minutes. Tom back on his phone standing around talking. I said, hey Tom, do you mind doing XYZ? He tells me to shut the hell up. And you didn't beat him to death, interesting. Apparently, according to these two, I'm on some kind of power trip, and don't have any authority because I only work twice a month. As opposed to them not working at all, it seems. Okay, fine, I don't come in that often, yet they still ask me to manage. Why don't they ask y'all then? No, I think I know why. They don't do anything. I don't know if it's because I'm a girl. I've talked to the other closing managers who are both men, and they said they act the same, but would never dare cuss at them. Well, I think you just need to start sending them home if they're not working. You are the manager, so you seemingly have the authority to do that. So send them home. You're right, it's not fair that they be included in the tip pool if they're not pulling their weight. And number 4 today is how to save your sanity, dealing with problems at a table, by Perma B. Over the years of serving, bartending, hosting, and managing, I've noticed that almost every table issue can fall into one of 3 categories, and each has a different solution. Here's how I deal with them. 1. Fix it yourself. Quick, clean, don't overthink it. Someone's missing ranch, a side that didn't come out, pickle when they asked for no pickle. Why would anyone do that? Just apologize, fix it, and move on. These things happen. Don't let small mistakes throw you off your game. The faster and calmer you solve it, the less likely it is to become a real problem. 2. Fix it with a little help. Desserts are your secret weapon. Depends how hard you throw them. This one has made a huge difference in my tips and general enjoyment of my job. When something goes wrong that's out of your control, long ticket times, a dish that has to be remade, partial orders coming out late, use the resources available to you. Talk to your manager. Most decent ones are more than willing to give a dessert or a small discount. But you should be the one that brings the good news. Say something like, hey guys, I know your food took a little longer than expected. I talked to my manager and we'd love to get you a dessert, on us. That little gesture makes people feel seen, and you're the hero who noticed and fixed it. It builds goodwill and makes it way more likely that they'll tip well and come back. It shows them that this experience was not the norm for your restaurant. 3. The problem is the table. Escalate immediately. Some people just want to be upset, ain't that the truth? No matter what you do, they'll find an issue or create one. It's true there isn't a lack of a problem that a smart man can't create one. These are the ones who eat 90% of their steak, then pour salt all over the last few bites and say it was too salty and want a refund. I think you beat them with a serving tray at that point. Yes, this happened. Yes, they got refunded. They didn't get beaten. I'm disappointed. Yes, I left that job not long after. When I sense that kind of energy, I don't try to reason, I just say, "Let me grab a manager to talk to you." That's it. Don't get sucked into the drama. Let management deal with the ones looking for a fight. Don't spend extra time at the table. Let them sit with empty drinks. Make them wait for the bill until you've taken the 20 tops order. You are in control, no matter how much they want to be. Learning to determine which is which has saved me time, tips, and a lot of stress. I hope it can help you too. Okay, next up is Not Sure What to Do by Pelican67. And just a little note, let's see. Yes, they did mention that the menus that were given were actually outdated, the ones that were given to study with. They say, "In my test, I was asked if our French toast is okay for people with nut allergies. I answer yes, because the menu's ingredients don't list any nuts. But I was wrong, according to my manager, because the chocolate they use is Nutella. But that isn't specified on the menu." Hey everyone, I'm 22, male, new here. Just thought I'd make a post to see what people of the internet think. This is mostly a rant, part question post. I recently started training to be a server at a fine dining restaurant in a big city. And almost as soon as I started, there were issues that I kept ignoring because I felt the payout would be worth it in the end to support myself. I was originally hired by the GM, who then left the restaurant almost a week or two later without notifying the restaurant of my hiring. I had to call because I was wondering why it was taking so long to move forward after I finished my onboarding. I then learned that they no longer work there and had to set up a meeting with the AGM to get everything sorted out, which they forgot about. Eventually it was sorted out and I was allowed to start training with their morning supervisor. Things started out fine. I could tell the restaurant was not all it seemed to be, and that was disappointing, but I wanted to get my experience and be good at my job, so I kept going. My training was disorganized, and I did the best I could. Oftentimes, I really just had to be a second server because the restaurant was understaffed. But of course, I'm training, I'm not in the tip pool. Anyway, the morning supervisor begins to progressively get nastier with me and making jabs, talking to me like I'm stupid, and if I don't know one thing, then according to her, I don't know anything. She always says I'm free to ask her questions, and then gets mad and says, "How do you not know this?" Whenever I do, she gives me pennies, then asks why I don't have dimes, if that makes sense. To cut the much longer story shorter, I had reached out at the end of my 10-day training period and was supposed to do my serve-out with a different manager, thank the Lord, but it didn't end up happening, because that manager was stuck dealing with a point-of-sale issue and I had to leave. We agreed to do it the next day just to finish my training, even though it was supposed to be my day off to move into my apartment. I just wanted to finish training. I come in at the agreed-upon time the next day to see the wrong supervisor and waited for over an hour to do my serve-out, which I should mention I don't think anyone else I know has had to do, and still had to do it with the supervisor I knew would try to fail me. From the start, it was rigged. She purposely asked questions I couldn't know the answers to, like for the multi-ingredient list of a single sauce that is served on the side of a dish. We have about 5 menus. I offered to give recommendations. She kept saying she doesn't like what I'm suggesting, until I accidentally say a dish that's on a different menu. She broke character constantly to tell— well, I wouldn't hire her for the part then if she's breaking character. She broke character constantly to tell me throughout the service what I was doing wrong. I keep smiling and ignore what I know she's doing, but it just felt like a losing game. The only time I didn't smile was when I dropped the check off and left the table. She got me for that too. And that brings us to the end of today's video. Big thanks to everybody who allowed me to use their stories. And if you'd like to support the channel, you can do so by signing up for my Patreon page, down in the description there for you. $1 or more a month gets you early access to the videos on Monday. Every dollar counts, as I like to say. I usually say it to myself. I don't say it in public in case people are listening, but it does. There's also a link to my merchandise store on Teespring, if you'd like to get yourself some hoodies or mugs or t-shirts. Okay, that's everything for now, I think. And before we go, let's move on to the question and answer of the day. And today's question is, let's see, how do I phrase this? I don't want to offend people. Herbs, spices, seasonings, all very good things to accentuate the flavors of a food. But personally speaking, I think some people aren't very good at cooking and they overly rely on seasonings, spices, herbs and spices and such. They rely on these things to cover up the taste of the food instead of accentuate the dish they're working on. And I think that's a sign of being a bad cook. And I say that as someone who has a fairly well-stocked spice cupboard, because I do believe it's important to properly season a dish, but not to the point where it's overpowering the dish and all you're tasting is the seasonings at that point. So, do you think there's something that people use as a crutch, it doesn't have to be food-related, as an excuse for poor skill in that particular area? Let me know what you think in a comment below. And before we go, we'll take a look at the answer of the day from a previous video. And this one comes from Spinning Plates 280, and the question was, do you celebrate your birthday? And today's answer comes from, let me have a little look here, let's see, who have I not done one from for a while? There we go, Cats Over Brats. I don't celebrate my birthday, but I have my own little birthday tradition. Each year I buy a bag of spicy rice crackers, the only time every year I eat those, and a bottle of cola. And then I find something to watch on Netflix while snacking. That sounds like a good evening to me, Cats Over Brats. And that's essentially what I do on my birthday. Like I say, I used to do the birthday stream. I'm not sure if I'm doing one this year. It'll depend what mood I'm in. But, no, mostly it's just get something good, get something sweet, watch a movie or a TV show. But not really any celebration for me. Thank you very much for your answer. So until next time, and that brings us to the end of today's video. So until next time, thank you very much for watching, and take very good care of yourselves.